Testimony is underway in the third week of the criminal hush money trial involving former President Donald Trump. Today, the judge in the case held Trump in contempt of court for violating a gag order. Judge Juan Merchan says Trump violated the order not one, but 9 times and fined him, well, $1,000 each, total of $9,000. CBS News correspondent Errol Barnett is following this for us outside the courthouse in Manhattan. Errol, you've been there day in and day out. Talk to us about this decision today. This is new news this morning, and the warning to Trump that it's not just about paying fines. He could end up in jail for this.
That's exactly right, Lilia. Judge Juan Merchan now instituting some level of punishment to former President Donald Trump for what he says is a clear violation of 9 instances of the judge's gag order. And as a result, the former president, will pay $1,000 per violation. And he has apparently until 2:15 Eastern to remove the corresponding Truth Social posts and remarks from his campaign 2024 website in order to be inside the lines of what the court will allow. He cannot intimidate witnesses or jurors in this case. No defendant can. And there's also one other aspect of the judge's order. Judge Juan Merchan also writes that the defendant is hereby warned by the court it will not tolerate continued willful violations of its lawful orders, and that if necessary and appropriate under the circumstances, it will impose an incarceratory punishment. So that is the threat of jail time to Trump if he continues to violate the gag orders. Now, for those keeping track at home, we have 9 violations of what the prosecution said were 10 violations, but last week they brought forth another 4. The judge is expected to hold a hearing on that decision on Thursday morning. So we're not out of the woods yet as far as Donald Trump's behavior as a defendant in this criminal case.
Well, let's get back to the trial now, Errol. The court also heard testimony today again from a bank executive, Guy Farrow. Why is he there? What did he have to say?
Well, if you remember, last week's star witness was David Pecker, former publisher of the National Enquirer, who says he was an admirer and a friend of Trump's, and he described the relationship of amplifying positive stories, suppressing negative stories. Now, additional witnesses have backed up some specifics. Gary Farrow, who just finished testifying this morning, was a banker for Michael Cohen and facilitated setting up the LLC and the payment to Stormy Daniels. He actually said that he didn't mean to open up shell corporations. If he would have known it was for someone else, he actually would not have gone through with it. Following witnesses this morning have backed up some of those specifics. So not as much as a sweeping star witness as David Pecker, but we've also heard from Robert Browning, who works for C-SPAN and confirms some of the things that C-SPAN recorded of Trump rallies. Things like, I have no idea who these women are, speaking of Karen McDougal and Stormy Daniels. They're trying to poison the mind of the American people, speaking of the press in general, and where Donald Trump said in 2017, Michael Cohen is a very good lawyer at my firm. Robert Browning testifying to those things now, and they're also hearing from a witness, Keith Davidson, who was a lawyer who represented both women and negotiated their payment deals with and through Michael Cohen. So the jury is hearing more witnesses who bolster the legitimacy of David Pecker's testimony last week and today.
Well, with Trump in court, it's important to remind our viewers this is still a criminal trial, but if he can't campaign, clearly the rallies come to him. Thank you, Errol.
You got it.